Hey everybody, welcome back to the Metal Mill 52 workshop. My name is Bill. This is my shop working on the LBSC TICH and in particular the boiler. And this episode will show you how I made the blanking plugs to get ready for a hydro test. One little thing I don't really talk about much, but the planning stage, the pictures in the book or drawings are really tiny. So what I like to do is take a picture of them and then print them out, and then I can tape them into this notebook and make notes about my machining steps, plan all the parts that I'm going to make. So that's a little best practice for you, but hope you have a great week. Hope you enjoy this episode. If you have any questions, please ask. If not, please just give me a thumbs up, provide the encouragement to keep on going and producing more of these things. You will see in this episode, I'm trying to keep these things a little bit shorter, so there's some pretty obvious steps. What I've done is taken some still photos, and I'll just layer those in when I make the movie for this week's episode. So tell me what you think about that, if that works good. I've also got the lavalier microphone on. I hope the sound quality is a little bit better. Anyway, have a great week, everybody. Appreciate you. We'll see you soon.
Now it's time to get into the boiler. If you followed along this project at all, you note that I bought the whole casting set and the partially completed chassis, and it included a boiler. And I got the history on this. The gentleman that sold me this set of parts said that the boiler was probably made by a gentleman in the UK and brought over as part of the kit for the Titch. And as you can see, it's a very solid piece of gear. It's probably heavy. I have not weighed it, but I'm thrilled to have it, and it was one of the important things for me making the decision to buy this to build this project. So what I've done tonight is to go over and take measurements of several of the key features of this boiler and double checking it against the specifications in the book and making notes in my notebook over here about what we have so I can plan things. Specifically, I need to plan the regulator because the gentleman that sold me this set of parts recommended I not use the regulator design or throttle design that's in the book. We'll talk more about that later, but first, before I design the new one with my friend Fred, I was going to take measurements and double check everything. So the main bushing on top of the boiler, this is where the steam dome will be, and believe it or not, the regulator, the throttle, is going to go through this tiny 3/4 inch hole here. So there's not going to be a lot of room to work with. It's 1 1/8 overall bushing, and these appear to be 6 holes tapped 256, and they're on a 15/16 inch pitch circle diameter, the best I can measure them. The boiler itself is 7 inches long. It's 3 inches in diameter on the round part, 4 inches tall here at the rear, and these bungs or bushings that are soldered into it are 7/32 by 40 TPI. This one, the one in the back, which I think is for the water sight glass, and then the one in the front. These are the two ones in the front will be for the water supply, and this obviously is for the steam dome, like I said. This will be for the sight glass, and then the only other tapped bushing, this is a 1/4 by 40 hole here. So other than that, it looks a pretty standard large boiler dish, if you can call this the large boiler, which they do. So I'm really excited about getting this thing together and working on the rest of it, and I will certainly keep you posted because it's going to be a fun project making this thing work.
Well, I finally received the lavalier microphone that so many of you have asked me to try to improve the sound quality, so I'm shooting just a short piece with the Titch. There's the boiler set on the chassis on its little stand, and it's interesting, I got out the original set of parts, and basically these are the only castings left that came with it that still need to be machined. I do have the smoke box, it's a copper ring, and then these brass rings and the smoke box door that need to be worked on, but that's pretty much it. So it's a good segue to the rest of the project and what I'll be working on the next several weeks, many weeks probably, is making valves. And what I've just been doing, I pulled out some PM Research castings that I had, as long as some hex and round brass bar stock and just been playing around with some different ideas. I'll get more into that before I wrap up this episode. I'll show you what I have in mind, but wanted to test out the microphone and kind of show you the remaining castings, and of course this is the grate for the coal. In the course of making the blanking plugs to test the boiler, to pressure test it, I decided I'd go ahead and make a top hat shaped crown piece to just make the steam dome. I decided to make the whole steam dome at this time. And I just formed this out of brass, and I'm getting ready to cut it off. And all I got to do is reverse it around and then hollow out the center of it and face off the back, and then drill holes so it'll fit the boiler. Using the pitch circle diameter function on my DRO, I always make a test run just to see, and it looks like this is right. What I'm going to do now is drill these holes, and then I'll see if it matches up to my boiler. And then this is just some 1/16 inch brass plate. I kind of hate to do that in case I ruin it, but anyway, but it's more cost effective than doing this that I spent last night machining. So this is a little top hat for the safety for the boiler. So we'll drill the holes now, and I'll show you back when we match it up against the boiler itself. Alright, here's my little boiler. Here's my test plate, and happily, I don't know if this will show up or not, but let me range it around. I'll put the screws in just to be doubly sure, but it looks like I've got good alignment here, so I think these are I say that, if you can see that. Yeah, it looks like good alignment. I use number 41 drill, which is clearance for 256. So yeah, I think that's going to be good. Like I said, I'll test it with the screws, but we should be good to go. Okay, sweet deal. Screws fit. So now it's go back to the mill and actually drill the 6 holes in the little top hat thing I made. Here we are with the little brass top hat in the 5C. It's the 3/4 inch 5C collet in the collet block here, and it's centered obviously, and I've gone through and just marked out where my holes are just to be on the safe side for the actual drilling. It looks like we're good, so I'm going to commence to the drilling now. Alright, here we are with all the holes drilled. Looks good. Time to remove it, clean it up, and test fit it to the boiler. One handy use of the brass template there is to make a nice gasket. So I've laid out and just used a little drill here in a pin vise, the same drill that I drilled the holes with, number 41 drill. Hey folks, I'm using the little lavalier mic. Let me know how the sound quality is on this. I'm not sure if it's going to do any good or not, but here is the finished, the thing with the top hat on there and all the blanking plugs installed. So this will be the last little segment for this week's episode. Again, please give me a thumbs up, ask any questions that you like, and please spread the word. I am trying to grow the channel. So thanks everybody. Hope you have a great week.